This episode is entitled, "In which I became the Shabbos Goy at the Jewish Hospital in Cincinnati." In his charming book, The Joys of Yiddish, Leo Roston explains that Shabbos, meaning Sabbath, Goy, meaning Gentile, designates a Gentile who is asked by an Orthodox Jewish household to light fires, bring in wood and water, and perform other necessary tasks which the devout are forbidden to perform on the Sabbath. Half a century ago, I had completed medical school at the University of Illinois and an internship at Cook County Hospital in Chicago. I had received a license to practice medicine in the state of Illinois and another license to practice in Ohio. I had a full-time appointment as an instructor in pharmacology at the University of Cincinnati, which paid me hardly enough money to support myself, my 2-year-old daughter, and my pregnant wife. To make ends meet, I took the opportunity to moonlight. A friend of mine who was on the staff of the highly respected Jewish hospital in Cincinnati said that his hospital would pay me to come in the evenings and supervise the work of their externs. An extern was a medical student, usually a senior, who earned a few dollars for helping out on the wards of a nearby hospital by performing the most menial of professional duties. Commonly, the extern took a medical history of and performed a physical examination upon any patient who had been admitted to the hospital that day. The extern might be entrusted with drawing the patient's blood to be sent to the laboratory for diagnostic purposes. An externship was simply a job. It was not a training program. The impecunious students were grateful for the meager salaries which the externships provided, and the hospitals were pleased to have a source of cheap labor. The externs were also happy to have the extern clinical experience. They enjoyed pretending that they were real doctors. The medical schools, on the other hand, were unhappy with the externship activity of their students. The medical school administrators believed that their students were learning bad clinical habits because their hospital activities as externs were not properly supervised by the school's faculty members. This faculty unhappiness probably explains why there are no longer externships at American hospitals. In the days when there were externs in the hospital, they occupied the lowest rank in the hierarchy of doctor-like people who worked there. They were still students who had not yet graduated from medical school, and therefore they were not entitled to have the letters MD after their names, nor was it appropriate to address them as doctor, although many higher-ups did so, particularly in the presence of the hospital's patients, to the considerable delight of the externs. Interns ranked one notch higher than externs in the hospital scheme of things. Interns were persons who had completed medical school phase of their educations and had been awarded the MD degree and were properly called doctor. Usually they did not yet have a license to practice medicine. Interns were full-time, or rather more than full-time, trainees for the period of 1 or occasionally 2 years in a hospital administered program called a rotating internship. During my 1 year of rotating internship at Cook County Hospital, I spent 3 months in general surgery, 3 months in internal medicine, 2 months in psychiatry, 1 month in obstetric, 1 month in neurology, and 1 month in the emergency room, and 1 month on vacation. This was a typical list of assignments for a rotating internship half a century ago. An internship was not intended to provide specialty training in any of these areas, but rather it was designed to give the intern a broad base of experience upon which he could build with further training in any of the medical specialties. A hospital trainee who had completed his internship and embarked on a program in one of the specialties, for instance, general surgery, was called a resident. A residency might be as short as 2 years in some specialties and as long as 6 or more years in others. Residents were a notch higher than interns in the hierarchy of healthcare providers. Most residents had already been licensed to practice medicine, and therefore they were legally entitled to quit their residencies and go into private practice if they wished to do so. However, they stayed and completed their residency training. They could enter the practice of medicine as specialists rather than as general practitioners. During the years following World War II, the number of residency programs in American hospitals increased rapidly, and the process of rotating internships got swallowed up. No longer did a senior medical student select an internship and then during the internship select a residency at the same or at a different hospital. Under the new arrangements, a senior medical student applied for and rank orders several residencies that he would be willing to accept, while the hospital rank ordered the applicants for their residency programs. A computer then matches the medical students in the residency programs in such a manner as to provide a maximum satisfaction for all participants. The medical students go directly from being seniors at the school to being first-year residents at the hospital. No longer is a rotating internship offered by the hospital. When the Jewish hospital accepted me as a supervisor of their externs, they did not know what title to apply to me. They finally decided that they would call me a resident, even though I was not like any of their other residents. I worked only part-time for them. I was not pursuing further medical training, and I was not identified with any specific clinical specialty. But I did have a license to practice medicine in the state of Ohio. The real bosses at the Jewish hospital were the attending physicians who were permanently affiliated with the institution. They were responsible for the care of patients and the training of the house officers, which is a collective term for interns and residents. The attending physicians were happy to have externs around to do the workup of their patients upon admission to the hospital, but they did not wish to spend any time supervising their work of these junior colleagues.